Carol Johnson, how are you?
I'm great. Doing good.
You have a distinct advantage over, I guess, a lot of other people that work in the wedding industry because you actually have kids that are getting married. So you're like right in the thick of it. Like you're feeling all the clients' pain and everything right now, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, I've learned a lot through this process. I thought I knew it all, but you never know it all. So I'm really learning the other sides, which is really helpful because it is helping me to be better with the families and better with the parents. So I'm really,
Yeah.
really enjoying. Yes.
Yeah, and as of today, as of us filming this interview right now, your son's getting married in just a few days.
They're getting married Sunday, and hopefully we're all prepared. Everything's ready. My dining room is completely full, like every other parent of a bride
I
and
bet.
groom. So yeah, we're excited. We are.
So tell everybody what you do and the name of your company and all of that. Like introduce us to who Carol Johnson is.
Yeah, so I'm Carol Johnson, Carol Johnson Weddings. Have been in this business. It's crazy. I'm going on 14 years. It's such a fun business to me. And it started with just doing a few weddings here and there in my church, helping with food. And I learned that I just absolutely got so much energy from it. It was just so much fun for me. One thing led to another. Started working for a couple of really great wedding venues in Memphis, Cedar Hall, Heartwood Hall. Now I feel like I'm all over the place, including them. Southern Grace, many just awesome wedding venues in Memphis. And it's just so much fun.
So what do you it is a lot of fun, like and because you and I've been working together for a long time. And it's been wonderful. You've always had the same approach. You've always been the same person. Whether you're at a wedding or whether you and I are just sitting down having coffee, one thing I admire about you is you're always the same Carol. And I love that. And everybody else loves that too. And actually a lot of people say that about you, that you're just the same. You don't put any, there's no pretense. You're just Carol. And everybody loves that, you know?
Thank you for saying that, Jimmy. I appreciate it. I just really love working with the families and with the couples. And honestly, you know, I feel like I am the coordinator and I am somewhat in charge, but really it's not about being in charge. It's more of just having fun with everyone. I always tell my groups, even when I have sometimes 100, sometimes at rehearsal, it's like, you know what? We're here to have fun. It's not stressful. It's not militant. Because a lot of the girls have told me, wow, the last coordinator was so bossy. And really, you don't have to be that way. It's more of just to be fun and just enjoy the time.
Yeah, because they're already stressed out. I mean, you've got like just typical wedding day jitters, with the parents and especially the bride, because, the bride's been dreaming of this day all of her life and everything. And, so they really need somebody like you to kind of like bring the temperature down and to make sure that everything feels comfortable, because Lord knows they have enough to be stressed about.
They do. They show up at rehearsal. I learned a long time ago, they show up at rehearsal just, even though they've prepared and we're ready, there's still a lot of emotions. The families, there's emotions with the families. So, really, the last thing they need is more stress. So, the fun thing is just let's have a great time. We've already done the hard work. And that's what I always keep in mind. The hard work is really already done. Now we're here to make it happen and just make the day beautiful.
That's right. Is there a particular type of couple that you enjoy working with the most?
I work with so many diverse type couples as far as some are extremely organized, have it all together, involved in everything. And that's great. I love that because I'm there to tell them, hey, I'm real organized too, and I like organized people. So we are going to get along just great. You just tell me exactly how you want everything to go. Although I work with a lot of couples that have no earthly idea. They basically call me and they have no idea about anything, even how to begin with the wedding. So, I mean, that's fun too because I throw out ideas with them, and I always just try to tell them it's your wedding. This is not the right or wrong way. It's basically whatever you guys want. We can make it happen. Just all the different types of people that I've gotten to meet and work with, personalities, families. I say at any given wedding, I have probably met, 50 people that I'm pretty much on a first name basis with. The grandparents, all the bridal party, significant others. At rehearsal, I'm like, I'm never going to remember all these names, but it's funny by wedding day, you've said it so many times and you've seen it on so many sheets, they become you become really tight with them.
In interviewing wedding vendors and interviewing like all of our DJs and everything, that's one thing that keeps coming up. It's like we still communicate with some couples that we've had, in the past. Like we're still friends. We still celebrate when they have, major life events and everything. So that's really special. And especially with you, because you get really, really deep, tight, you get to know a lot about the personal side of these people's lives and everything, and we want the wedding day to go smooth too, just like they do. Like we have just as much to lose, and gain as they do too. So what does a smooth wedding day from a vendor's perspective look like for you?
A smooth wedding day, like Jimmy, because you're like the king of preparation, and that's it. It's all in planning, preparation. Always say we never go to an event without the questions already being answered. Now, sure, things might come up from time to time, that a decor piece that maybe we didn't know exactly this was coming, or it got thrown in the mix. But for the most part, there are no surprises, as far as, of course, weather. And there are surprises that can happen, but for the most part, we are prepared. I already know exactly, and as with you, with the music, oh my goodness, I mean, what they want. So I know what they want. I know their timeline. I know what's important to them, what's going to stress them out, because, different personalities, some things will stress them out, some things they want. Some want to start the ceremony right on the minute. Some are like, no, no, it's fine. We can be a little, less, prominent on that time. So really, it's just really getting to know exactly what they want, and just going by my list of preparation that I planned with them from the very beginning.
How many weddings would you say have actually started right on the dot? Like when they're supposed to walk down the aisle at 5 o'clock p.m., like how many weddings realistically would you say have actually started right on the money, like right on the second?
That's such a good point, because you and I both know weddings are very fluid, and don't sweat the small stuff, And of course, if a bride says, hey, it's really important to me to start five on the money, and that's, after I explain to her, your guests still may be coming, because a lot of guests start arriving, 5 minutes before the wedding. And the whole point is you want your guests to enjoy the wedding. There are times when there are stragglers, and I'll hold those guests back. So you're right. I mean, it never usually starts right on the money. I mean, a couple of minutes later, I mean, I am pretty anal about a lot of things, but those are not it. It's more of just being flexible and kind of going with the flow. I think that's what makes everything so much more calmer. It's just go with the flow, and let's just enjoy it. We're not going to get uptight if it's 5:01, because I guarantee we're going to start at probably 5:03 or 5:04.
That's right. That's right. Can you think of anything when you're having your last meeting with your brides and grooms to kind of go over everything, just to make sure everything is lined up? Can you think of anything in particular that they've overlooked that they didn't really think about until you brought it up? Anything in particular?
I mean, there always is, because I like to really connect with them 2 weeks. And then the week before, a lot of connection, because I really want to just calm their nerves and just help them to make sure that they haven't, forgotten anything. The major things hopefully have been taken care of. Like, for instance, miking. Sometimes that's always something I always have to bring up at meetings, even though they have a DJ or whoever. They don't think about those little things like miking and how important that is. Or if there's a singer or a scripture reader or speaker. Those are some of the little things that can make or break. Um, Not that the whole wedding will fall apart, but the little things are what make an event a really great event. So it's really those little bitty details that sometimes we just have to, remind them. Or it's usually on my list. Everything's on my list, and we have a checklist from start to finish, and we go through that checklist. A lot of times with me, when I'm talking to a couple, I don't want to ever stress them out with so many questions, especially in the beginning. So I ask them the questions, and a lot of times they don't know all of the answers. So I usually just put a question mark, and I'll tell them, hey, don't stress out. These are things that we will revisit. So just know you don't have to remember some of these things. We're going to touch base about those later. And normally they're, writing the notes, which is fine. But I do try to follow up because it's overwhelming.
It is.
Doing a wedding can be overwhelming, you
Yeah,
know.
it's a lot. It's a million details, and it's not just like the major stuff like, when do you want to have your first dance, or what song you want when you walk down the aisle or whatever. It's like, what color do you want the napkins to be, and like, what type of, place settings do you just, it's all kinds of stuff that obviously you talk about, that with them when you're finalizing everything. But along those lines, whether a client is your client or not, just to any bride and groom out there, like, can you think of one thing that you wished that they understood when it comes to wedding planning? Can you think of one thing that's like, I just wish everybody in the world understood this about wedding planning, or about, just any little detail? Can you think of anything in particular?
I want you to enjoy the day, not be tense, not worry about anything. That's really the main thing. Is I think the nerves. The nerves are usually the hardest thing for couples to sometimes just let go.
You would say that's one piece of advice that you would want every bride and groom to know, is just don't be nervous. Just let it go. Take your hands off the wheel.
Just take your hands off the wheel and understand that you have hired good vendors, and honestly, they're going to do the work. You are just showing up and you enjoy your day. Just enjoy it and know that photographers are going to do their thing. DJs are going to do their thing. We're going to do our thing. The venues, I mean, really and truly, at that point, they can just turn loose and enjoy themselves.
The vendor team that you touched on, why would you say that the vendor teamwork during the wedding day is so important?
It's the major thing. Honestly, when I sit down and talk to a bride that maybe already has her vendors and she shares with me her vendors, I mean, even with me, I'm just like, I mean, I can just sigh of relief knowing that it's going to be a good day. It really matters. I mean, good vendors really matter. And you and I both know, Jimmy, I mean, it is teamwork from the very beginning. And as soon as I book a couple, that is one of the first things I do. I mean, her and I will talk through, some little details, but my intentions first is I want to talk to the vendors. I want to get everyone on the same page. That is what makes it happen and makes a smooth, flawless day. Not to say there won't be little hiccups, but the hiccups with good vendors, we know how to pick right back up and make it happen. And no one else even knows. I have a one story, the electricity went out. There was no music, no anything. But once again, the family, of course, they're already seated. They're not thinking the details. I mean, they're oblivious. They're in another world, and all of us are working, and we're trying to make this event, fabulous. We were able to find the bride's phone. She had some playlists, and we were able to find the music that she wanted, for her processional. Honestly, it worked out, and no one even realized. Of course, the music wasn't as loud, but we still had music. Saying all that, we made it happen in a situation that sometimes, heaven forbid, the electricity goes out. And there's so many countless stories that you and I both could, tell that things sometimes just happen and we have to just step in and I guess try to save the day, which normally we do.
And by the way, to all potential brides and grooms out there, the power doesn't normally just shut down a lot. Like, that's not a, that's a really
So rare.
rare that, yeah, it doesn't, it really, it just doesn't happen. I mean, but it's usually like an ice storm or like severe weather thing. But, we can kind of usually see that coming on the front end. Um,
Right.
wouldn't you say realistically that you like working with vendors that you don't have to babysit as a wedding
Uh,
planner?
wow. Wow. It is so amazing how we all get on the same page as soon as we, get to the venue. We've already had some conversations before then, but when we get to the venue, we are just, it's like a hand. Honestly, we all just really work together and share our notes, share our timelines. Um, we're on the same timeline. We all might have different timelines before because the brides spoke to all of us separately, but we arrive and we know that we all need just one timeline and we all share that timeline and work as a team. No one's more important, no one is less important. We just work together, makes all the difference in the world.
What happens when things get off the timeline just a little bit? How do you bring it back together?
It's not a perfect world. And plus, my thing is, I don't want to be militant about a timeline. It's more fun to go with the flow. And if the couples are mingling throughout the room, the last thing I want to do is, go up to them and say, it's 5:15, it's time to cut the cake or whatever the next thing is. Um, so I really let them know in the front end that this is a guideline for us. Timelines are a guideline, and we know the order in which everything is going to happen. Although, just like with life, it's not going to stay minute by minute. And that's what makes it so fun. I think that makes it a much better event when everyone kind of goes with the flow. I mean, I know with you, Jimmy, and your whole team, a lot of times, if they do a toss, I kind of put that in y'all's court a little bit more because
Mhm.
y'all's thing is we don't want to break up the dance floor when everyone's having a great time and then you integrate a toss and then everyone's off the dance floor. So that's just one of those situations that, we work together and a good breaking point, a good
Mhm.
DJ will know a good breaking point, to integrate that. And that's just one of those things. It might say, the K toss is at 9:05. It could be 9:30 because really and truly we're just wanting it to go smoothly and have a great night and fun.
That's
We just
true.
want it to stay fun.
Are there any particular qualities in the wedding professionals that you work with that you really appreciate more than any other quality?
The number one quality is organization. I mean, organization. Oh my goodness. I mean, I've had some vendors to show up 20 minutes before an event starts. That's stress that's not needed. You don't have to have that kind of stress. And that is stressful. I've had vendors that maybe did not prepare and have the music ready. And this is saying for all of us, because we're all, you know, have qualities that we have to be prepared, but photographers that I've worked with and maybe did not have pictures in the order that they wanted, and that just throws all of us off. Organization is just the key to make it all go smoothly.
Amen to that. Are there are there any particular parts of the wedding day, not necessarily just the ceremony or just the reception, but are there any parts of the wedding day timeline that you think require more coordination than the others, or they all just pretty much had need the same level of attention?
No, I mean, I definitely would say that the ceremony really does require to be owned
Oh
because,
yes.
you
Oh yeah.
know, because I have to talk to you. You have to be knowing where I'm at. I have to make sure that the photographers, videographers. So once again, it's all in that teamwork. I mean, you hire good, vendors, and if you're not working together, they're not going to be utilized efficiently. So yeah, that ceremony is crucial. I mean, I have some brides that say, "Don't open the door. I don't want to walk down the aisle until, they know the exact beat of the song." And that's okay. I love that. I get with you guys and say, "Hey, how many seconds?" And we work together on that. And once again, that's makes the bride ecstatic that she gets to walk down the aisle the exact note of the song that she wants to walk down to.
Yeah, that's right. The The ceremony is obviously important. It seems like everybody I talk to, they're like, if the ceremony goes great, then the rest of the day, it's pretty much a like smooth downhill ride. It's just a fact. Everybody, that is the truth. That is the gospel right there.
Right.
But do you have a particularly favorite part? We talked about how important the ceremony is, but is the ceremony your favorite part, or would you say the reception is your favorite part? Do you have a favorite part? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the ceremony or the reception, or it could be the cocktail hour or just a transition time. Like, do you have a favorite part of the wedding day?
Yeah, I mean, even to this day, after doing so many weddings, the dances are really, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've gotten teared up. Just, seeing I mean, of course, I love the first dance. That's so sweet and special. But, when they dance with their parents, I just get really emotional. I probably see my own kids in that. I just think it's a really special time, especially I mean, for both, for the parents and the bride and groom. It's a moment they'll never forget. I mean, I've had hospice parents that are wheeled in basically off their bed, and they would not miss their child's wedding, and
Oh, that's heavy.
will
That's
do
heavy.
the dance. Yeah, I mean, I'm just standing there, all teary up, and I really don't. I know them kind of, but not really. And it's very emotional. I had one wedding that a daughter, the bride, had lost her father when she was younger. And it was the sweetest thing during the father daughter dance. All the men that had really taken part in her life, her brothers, there was a couple of uncles, a mentor from church, they all did a dance with her. One song, and they all just kind of did their little 20 seconds. Now that was really sweet and emotional.
We talk a lot about brides and grooms and the families and everything, but the guests are also there. So you obviously have some interactions with guests. So what does a typical guest interaction with Carol Johnson look like? Or do you interact with guests a lot? Or what's your experience there?
Right. So that is one of the questions when I do talk with the bride and groom, just regarding the day and the timeline. I always tell them, of course, it's y'all's wedding, but this is also y'all hosting an event and all of your family and friends. So you want to make it fun. You are there to have an event, and you do not want them to be waiting and bored. And so I really try to um, make it fun for the guest. I'm like, let's have a lot going on. Let's keep things moving. Think about your guest. Let's think about when you're mingling. That's really important. I have some bride and grooms who are like, no, I really don't think I want to mingle. And I'm like, yeah, you will really enjoy mingling, and your guests will love that because they really want to see you. They came to see you. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out. It is very nice to greet everyone. So yeah, the interaction with the guest is, sometimes the funnest because they're just, usually in awe with the venue, and so many of them just want to have conversations, and they're thrilled to be there, and they'll tell you their stories. And the cool thing is there's a lot of them that are destination weddings. I've done several destination weddings, so we have people from all over. I have people from New York, from Chicago. I had an African wedding, and they were across country. We've had them, from all over, and it's always cool because people love weddings and they will travel for weddings. It doesn't really matter when. I've done weddings on Mother's Day, Halloween. I've got a wedding the week before Christmas this year, and sometimes the bride and grooms are kind of nervous about it. And normally, I mean, because they know way in advance, your guests know way in advance. People love weddings, and they will usually show up.
That's true. People will travel all across the country to go to a wedding, especially for somebody that they really love. And it's not just, hey, free food and drinks. It's like, because they know how much fun weddings are, because they typically are tons of fun. And speaking of fun, in your opinion, what makes a wedding fun without being chaotic and just going off the rails, completely wild? What's your opinion there?
And some of the funnest weddings are, it's really I mean, of course, it's the people. It's the relationships. You can see the relationships, the people that are really there to enjoy themselves and are ready to dance and have a good time. You know, a lot of them, of course, you know, there's a lot of weddings that they say no one's going to dance. You know, a lot of my friends are shy. There's a lot of older people. And it's a funny thing. I always tell them, y'all really will enjoy it. Just get out there and have a good time. I said, if there's kids there, usually kids will start the dance floor. You know, they sort of get everyone going. Music is such a huge part. The right kind of music, I mean, because it gets people's emotions and going, it gets them involved. So, you know, there are a lot of couples maybe have a certain type of music, and I understand that it's what they really love, and they tell me, you know, this is the kind of music we want. And I do tell them, I said, really rely on the DJ a lot for that because they know what's going to get people on the dance floor. Because there's certain music that you can just feel the energy of everyone. And, you know, getting the guest involved. I know there's all kind of, I don't know how you feel about anniversary dances. Some people don't like those. I kind of
I like
like
them.
getting the guest
Yeah, I like
involved
them.
and things like that.
To me, the anniversary dance is really special because not only are we finding out what couple has been married the longest, but we always ask them, it's like, what are their names? What are their relationship to you? What was the song that they danced to when they had their first dance at their wedding? Because that way it makes it so much more personal and just so much cooler because it's usually like a grandfather and a grandmother or great grandparents, and just to see how that last standing couple on the dance floor reacts when they hear that song. It's just really special. And especially when you say their names, like they just, that all of this whole thing is just so special. Just the whole music thing to us is just really important to us, obviously.
It
But
is. Oh my goodness. It sets the stage just for your mood. It really does change the mood of the
yeah,
whole room. I worked with a couple not too long ago, and she was asking when they entered the reception, is there music going to be playing? And I said, oh, absolutely. I said, you don't want dead time. You want that music playing. That is so important. That's one of those things that, you know, a little thing that's a big thing, that you want that ambiance. You want music at cocktail hour because if not, it just gets dry and people get a little antsy. There's just something about music in the background, even before the dancing starts, that's super important.
it's not uncommon for someone to say, is music going to be playing during whatever time? And my response is always, are there going to be people around? Then yeah, there's going to be music. There's going to be music being played because wherever people are, you've got to set the tone with the music. I mean, music is obviously very important. But the second, I guess, role that a DJ plays is the emceeing part, making the announcements and things like that. How important is that, in your opinion, to a wedding day?
Yes, it's very important. I've had some couples to tell me we don't know if we're going to do a DJ because um, we have our own sound system, and one of my cousins is going to do, you know, the emceeing. And you always want to, you know, I never tell people that's a horrible idea, although I do tell them, you know, think twice about that because you really need
Thank you.
um, it's so important because I've seen it on both sides, you know, and having someone that, you know, you have this beautiful event. I think of that. You have this wonderful event that you put so much time and energy in, and then to miss something like that, you know, is because people will not hear when cake cutting is going to begin. They want to hear, you know, they like to hear the toast and to be introduced and the dances. You know, I've been to weddings before that the dances were not there was no DJ and there was no announcing. They would just go into their dance, and it's just not as special. There just needs to be someone to make those announcements. It's huge. It really is.
Just like you appreciate having a professional DJ MC working with you at the weddings that you do, On that same token, we appreciate it when we have a professional planner slash coordinator that works with us, because we hear sometimes, it's not often, but sometimes a bride will say, "Oh, well, my mom's best friend, who is also a guest at the wedding or who may be participating in the bridal party, is going to be there like running the show." And that's okay, but we would really rather have someone like you there to kind of holding it all together because you're there for that purpose. So that whole relationship is really important to a DJ as well. As you know, you and I've talked about that like so many times in the past or whatever. But yeah, having a coordinator is very important, folks. If you don't have one, then basically that falls on the DJ and the photographer to kind of run everything live. And that, I mean, it's kind of stressful, but you definitely don't want to have, your Aunt Betsy being the coordinator if she's also a guest. I mean, that's a pretty heavy load on a guest, especially on a family member.
And Jimmy, I have a funny story that I'll tell you. And I've been a coordinator, for almost 14 years. So my son that's getting married this weekend, it had started as a small wedding. So I've been helping him, and we had the timeline, we have all the vendors, everything's good. The wedding has grown in the meantime, as they usually do. And honestly, I thought, I'm going to be there. I'm just going to have the timeline and everything ready. I'm telling you, I woke up and almost had a panic attack a few months before the wedding, thinking, what am I thinking? You have to have those key people, not necessarily us, but there has to be a key person that does this for a living. And you're right, an uncle or a cousin. I hear a lot, oh, my maid of honor is gonna, she's gonna take care of, my timeline. Well, we know what the maid of honor is going to be doing. She's going to be, of course, having fun on the dance floor.
Oh yeah.
And you were at your booth, and I'm with my clipboard the entire night on the floor. We don't leave the room. We are there making sure if a glass breaks, if, a table collapses. I mean, there's a million stories, if a door will not open. I mean, there's just a million different things that we're there for. And it is important. I mean, it really, really is. And I'm always happy when I'm working with professionals, and it just makes all the difference in the world. It really does.
It does. Is there a particular bit of advice that you would give a couple right now that's looking for wedding entertainment?
Definitely word of mouth. I do a lot of word of mouth. I like to ask people that I trust that have been to weddings with, certain vendors. Yeah. And then actually talking to them. I love websites and all that, but I really like having a conversation and just, hearing them out and seeing what they offer and seeing how organized they are. You can pick up on that, pretty quickly. If someone's organized, how they're going to orchestrate everything, the questions that they ask, the timing. And Jimmy, that's one thing about you. I mean, when I recommend you for weddings, I'm like, he is a DJ planner. I mean, literally just having the notes that I honestly don't know how people do it without all the detail notes. Do you? I
I
mean,
don't.
I love having, it's just so important. It's just, there's too many things that can go wrong if you're not super organized. And, just really getting recommendations for someone and then having that conversation with them. It's so important on the most important day of your life. You want someone that you can trust, that is dependable, that is going to do what they say and be there. I mean, I've heard of vendors getting dates wrong and not showing up. I mean, I've had officiants not to show up, and you just don't want that. Of course, we did not let the bride know. We made it happen, but still, that's not what you want for your wedding day. You want good, dependable people that's working for you.
Most everything goes right at a wedding, but because of proper planning, organization, and everything, almost everything goes right. But sometimes things get just a little wonky, and it's really important to stay calm, to,
Right.
keep that professional demeanor. So,
Right.
how do you feel about that professional calmness, keeping everything within yourself calm, not showing any stress, keeping everything cool? Like what's your opinion on that? Why that's so important?
I think that's huge. I hear it all the time. It's almost like us as vendors set the stage for that. If we're frazzled or stressed, it just feeds down to the rest of the wedding party, to
Oh
the
yeah.
family. So just keeping that composure of in your head, you might be sort of thinking, what am I going to do? But on the surface, you do have to keep it together and you have to keep that calm demeanor. It it really does make a difference. I mean, from experience, it really, really does make a difference. And I love that. I love seeing, um, people's stress level go down when you're working with them. Because, I mean, many, many times I've seen, some of the bridesmaids that are just really stressed. Toasters, a lot of times before people do toast, they're high anxiety, but really just keeping that calm. Um, Letting them know, hey, you're going to do great. And, you know, probably the most stressful thing that we can't, really fix is the weather. But then once again, you have to be really, really calm about the weather and let them know, hey, let's don't freak out. We have a plan. We have a plan B and let's talk it out. Cause that is probably the number one stressor, I would say at weddings is the weather for outdoor weddings. And this is for your business too, Jamie. I mean, because we have to let you guys know. We have to let, the whole team, the florist know because it affects all of us. And then, of course, it's a dream that this bride and groom have had for a year, usually, to have their wedding outside. And sometimes that doesn't happen. Um, but, the way it's handled and just kind of calming everyone down, it always works out. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've had a bride to come up to me and she said, when we would have to bring the wedding indoors because of the rain, she would just still be so happy. And she would say, it was more than what I could have ever imagined. It was absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy. So at the end of the day, it always works out as long as you stay calm and stay and not get all frazzled. Getting frazzled, it does no good.
Yeah.
It causes them to be more frazzled. And that's not our job. Our job is to calm the situation and make it work.
Yeah, especially for a wedding planner, because if the wedding planner comes unglued, you can just pretty much guarantee everything else is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say. I know that one thing that we push a lot is we want to make sure that every wedding is elevated and classy, but we want people to have fun. So, in your opinion, how do you make a wedding feel elegant, upscale, classy without feeling stuck up and stuffy?
Because a lot of the venues that I work at are very, very nice. And then I have worked at venues that are more modest, and you can still maintain that same level of professionalism. Of course, how everything flows, just being very organized and having everyone to know where they're going, just, being very organized with the guests and letting them know what's next. Vendors really do set the stage for that. I think we do create that atmosphere as far as making the guest, because we're sort of hosting as well. We're the ones that are in charge and sort of maintaining that level.
Yeah.
And I just feel like having good conversations with the guest and just making sure everyone knows where to sit, kind of knows their place, and they don't feel uncomfortable because weddings can sometimes be a little nerve wracking. They don't know
Hmm.
where to go. They're in a different environment. We do have a lot of rules at venues as far as different areas of houses and areas that the guests aren't allowed to go. So really, just being kind to them and letting them know areas that are allowed. And a lot of the things I usually say, because a lot of the guests want to usually go into the area where the bride is, and just kindly saying we're hiding the bride. I probably have said that 2 million times, just letting them know that, hey, it's not that you're not allowed in this area. It's just, right now the bride's here, or they may be doing pictures in a certain area. So, and guests or just like anyone else, they if you respect them, they feel respected. So
Yeah, and you're pretty much the bride's bodyguard the day of.
yeah, for sure. For sure. I feel like I'm a shield a lot of times, trying to get them to the front to do pictures. I always tell them, we have to um, get this done so, you can have more reception time. And of course, the guests want to talk to them as soon as they're in an area with where the guests are. I mean, that is part of our job is to keep that flow going, keep the guests in certain areas, and then the photographers can do what they need to do to make, once again, that is another way to make the day run smooth and to let you guys know, hey, cocktail hour is going to be X amount of time. So then you guys know when to wrap that up and when you're going to be at the reception, although you guys are already set up at the reception with the music, but just once again, we all know our place and what's going to happen next. And it's just, our timeline is flowing when we all work together like that.
So the times on the left margin matter, but what happens on the right side, the order of events, that obviously matters more than anything else. What do you normally see on their list of things that your clients prioritize? How high do they value experience?
Right. Of course, everyone's on a budget. So, we all have budgets, but I'm finding that most weddings that I do, it is experience. They want the experience. It's such an important day for them, and they want it to run smoothly. They want a beautiful day. And of course, they do have to look at budget, but I find that it's more experience. I recommend vendors all the time, and normally it's who's good. That's the
Yeah.
question. Who's good? Who would you recommend? That's the best way I could describe it, and that is very true.
If you could peel back the curtain and show everybody what it looks like behind the scenes when the vendor team is working, trying to make sure that everything is running smoothly and everybody sees, that everything's going great and everybody has a good experience. What does that look like? That behind the scenes thing. Like, what does that look like in your opinion?
A lot of fun. We have a lot of
Yeah.
fun. We really do. Um, it's so nice when you've worked with a lot of the same vendors countless times because we really are like a big family. Honestly, I have my wedding family. I know so many guys of you guys now. And really and truly, it's we all know how each other work together. And we basically just kind of go into action. When I arrive at a venue, I come to your area and we sit down and we say our hellos and how's it going? And then we get right to our songs that are going to be processed with and recessed and the timeline. Although we've already seen that, we really still go over it together. And so, really, it's just that relationship, the
Hmm.
relationship with the vendors that just, I mean, we all enjoy working together, and it just makes it a lot of fun. So, yeah, behind the scenes, I would say it's kind of probably like a ball game, football game, when they're hustled down and they're all talking about what they're going to do and to make a win. Because that's at the end of the day, we all want it to be a perfect day for the bride and groom. I mean, we all have the same goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, because stuff changes last minute quite a bit. Little
Oh,
details here and there do change. Yeah.
so much, so much. That's probably the number one word with weddings is fluid. It's very fluid and you have to go with it. If it's too hot outside, for instance, we're going to bring cocktail hour inside to make it to accommodate, the wedding people. And that is our job is to make it a great day for them.
And something that I've always appreciated about you is that even though, we've had our meetings, many phone calls, emails, texts, whatever, with the bride and groom, and we've gone over everything with a fine-tooth comb. And, you and I have communicated, or you and our DJs have communicated, and we've gone over everything again. But after everything is set up and ready to go at the wedding day, you still come over and you still go over every little thing step by step, comparing notes even though, we send you the planning forms, you've already got those, but we still go over handwritten notes and everything before the wedding day. It would make some people sick, the amount of detail that we go over and over and
Right.
over and over. But yeah, but it's really important. So we always appreciate that about
It
you.
is. I'll just say, one of the last weddings I did was with John. And, because things change. Sometimes last minute things get added, things, once again, it's very fluid. And John, your DJ, knew that the scripture reader needed a certain type of mic. I just knew that there was going to be a scripture reader. It was just wonderful because as soon as we were able to get all set up in the garden, John said, "Hey, where do you want me to put the mic?" And he was just like, once again, we're helping each other out. I had my vision of a standing mic, but he brought a standing mic, he brought just the handheld mic, of course the lapel mic for for the officiant, and we just help each other out with those kind of things, which could have he knew that she had wanted a standing mic, and that's a big thing because that's what she envisioned is she wanted a standing mic, and he made that happen. So yeah, the little details that we sometimes don't know until the day of. I mean, I've had some weddings that I go to, and we did our rehearsal. Everything was as we had talked about. Wedding day morning, the bride said, "Hey, I was just thinking about this. So I went to bed last night. I want to reverse everyone. I want, my family on this side, his family, so they can see me," which is kind of a trend now that the bride is on the opposite side. She's on the right, so her family. We just have to go with the flow. When
Yeah.
she said that, I'm like, absolutely. So, of course, I have to change all my notes to make sure I'm clear. But many times, I think there are little things that change, even on the day of from the rehearsal. So we just have to be ready to go with that and make it happen.
Do you ever have dreams that you're walking around with a clipboard in your hand telling people what to do?
I won't tell you some of the nightmares I've had. I've never missed a meeting, I've never missed a rehearsal, but I think just being in this business, you always have a fear of, I would never want to forget anything as far as a date, a time. And thankfully, I never have. But I think all wedding people have had nightmares that you got a date, maybe a timing or something. So, yeah, it's so important that you know your times, you have everything. I keep clipboards for every single wedding. So I never have an opportunity for a sheet of paper to get off of that and get with another wedding. So I have individual clipboards for every single wedding. And, there have been some weddings, especially October, as you know, when I'll have sometimes 20 clipboards, and you just have to keep
Oh, I
that.
can only imagine.
I've taken pictures and I'm like, wow, I'm so thankful they're all clipped together. There's no way that any of these notes can get misconstrued because there's just so many detail notes. I think after some weddings, literally, I will have 40, 50 pages. It starts very neat the day of. Then throughout the day, people are asking me things and I'll jot down things. And that's one thing I've learned. I write everything down and then you can't ever forget it if someone asks you 14 questions between one area and the next, you have them written down. But there's just so many details. It's just incredible.
I mean, you have to agree that not just anybody with the clipboard can just walk up and start doing this.
Yeah, I think it's personalities. Some people enjoy organization. They enjoy their list. I'm a list person. I love, love, love lists. I have a list for everything. So it kind of fits my personality. Yeah, someone that is kind of fly by the seat of their pants, I can't imagine. They probably
Oh
wouldn't enjoy
no.
it. They wouldn't enjoy doing this kind of work,
True. I don't think they could do it. You couldn't pull it off, just fly by the seat. You have to organize this. You have to. It takes structure and yeah, like so attention to detail. You can't just willy-nilly. You couldn't. There's no way. Absolutely no way.
There's not. And you really do have to enjoy this business to be in this business.
I
I have
agree.
people, a lot of people tell me all the time, "You really like that? That is so stressful." Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I really, really love this. I mean, I knew it from the very first time I was involved in the weddings. I did a few at church, and then, you never know what opportunity is going to turn into an opportunity. I was at Costco on a way to a wedding at my church, being like a server, and I ran into an old friend of mine that I hadn't seen in 20 years. And she said, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm good. I'm fixing to, help with the wedding." And she said, "Wow." She said, "My mother-in-law owns two wedding venues, two of the top wedding venues in Memphis. I bet she would love to talk to you." A couple of weeks later, I called her, sweet Denise, and she was able to let me do a few weddings and got my feet wet. And one thing led to another, and have done probably thousands of weddings since. And you just never know what opportunity is going to turn into something that you love. I never knew I would find a job that I enjoyed as much as I do this. It's very rewarding. And it came at such a great time for me. My kids were older, and it's like I really wanted to do something and have a purpose and feel like I'd really accomplished. And this job has really been so accomplishing. It's just been so rewarding for me.
Little did you know what opportunities that was going to open up just getting to know Miss Denise, you know? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, she has really done a lot of great things. Heartwood Hall, Cedar, beautiful, beautiful venues. And it's just allowed me to learn so much. And I still do so many weddings there. And now I get to do them all over Memphis, which is, super fun just to meet all the different kinds of people. Um, I've just done some of the most interesting weddings. We did a Greek wedding recently, and that was just so fun to learn the different cultures. We've got a Chinese wedding coming up, learning that culture, ceremony teas. It's a whole new world. It really is. The Jewish weddings are fabulous. Uh, I did an African wedding, which was so much
Those are
fun.
beautiful. Those
They're
are
so
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
The colors
Yeah.
and the music. It's fascinating to see um, different cultures, but more than anything, I really think I enjoy just seeing the family dynamics and learning the different cultures. The Greek weddings are very family oriented, and seeing how the bride and groom really respected their parents. When the
Mhm.
dads gave speeches, they were just in tears. And I just find that so fascinating because every culture is different, and it's just really neat to see um, the different traditions like that.
Yeah, I like those Greek weddings. I actually have one coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. Really, really sweet bride and groom. They're older too, so they're just like they're very boisterous. I just love the energy. It's always really through the roof energy, those Greek weddings. Specifically, what's your experience with working with Deep Blue been like?
Yeah, so I have probably done, correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy, maybe 500 weddings with y'all through the years,
I wouldn't doubt it.
many,
I
many
wouldn't doubt
years.
it.
I mean, of course, you know, all your DJs I've met. I used to laugh and say they all their names start with J. You had
At
Jared.
one
It
at
was,
one
it was
time,
it
yeah.
was just all J's. But yeah, it's an incredible team, and I don't just say this to you. I say this to everyone I talk to. My son is using you for his wedding, so that speaks volumes. It is just refreshing always when I work with you guys, knowing that first of all, it's going to run smoothly. Always, it always runs smoothly. And what I love about your team is um, they are very quick to divert a situation that needs to be diverted. Many, many times something will change, and I'm like, no, 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 we're not doing that. We're doing this once again because this is what the bride and groom wants. And it's not always like this with a lot of vendors that I work with, but you guys just always are willing to do what it takes to make the event flawless. At the end of the night, we always go, wow, what a great night. It was a great night.
Yeah, we do say that a lot, don't we?
We do. We
With
do.
with the high fives and all that stuff.
Yes.
What would you tell couples who are considering hiring Deep Blue for their wedding entertainment?
Don't wait. I mean, don't wait because good vendors, are busy and you want to get that date booked. It's very important to get that date booked. Then you just have a feeling of, hey, at least I know the music's going to be great. We'll touch base with the music later, but at least I know I've got a good DJ. It's wonderful to have a DJ. You don't have to worry about um, when I cue the DJ. Every wedding planner or coordinator knows this. You want them to respond to you, and you don't want the streaking out the audio, loud. I mean, that's has been very common in a lot of cases with some vendors. It's just one of those um, things that you want to go right with your wedding. You want your sound to go right. You want your DJ to orchestrate the event. You want him to be organized. You want him to play the right music. I've seen in some cases wrong music being played, and
Ooh, my skin
that
crawls when
is
you say that.
a big deal. That is a big deal. When you have your first dance, you want your music to be what you chose. And if you have songs you don't want to hear, I do not play, you don't want those songs played at your wedding. It's a big deal. So those things matter. And not all DJs are alike. You want a DJ that can do what you want, and it makes a huge difference.
What kind of couple do you think that Deep Blue is the best fit for?
I can't think of a couple not. I mean, I really can't. I've done, thousands of weddings. Y'all fit anyone's need for that, as far as any kind of music, any kind of style, from one area to another. I mean, some venues, there's one area and you have to be all the way at another venue area for the reception. So, I mean, y'all accommodate all of that. A lot of DJs don't. I mean, some DJs only have one sound system, and that's hard, to maneuver to the reception. And then you might have 30 minutes of dead silence while the DJ's packing up and setting up for the reception. So many reasons, so many reasons. Follows a timeline and works with the coordinator. And also, of course, the photographer, but mainly we work so closely together on when the kitchen is ready to open up the food. If there's going to be toasters, if there's going to be a prayer, we have all that lined up together instead of it just because it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of preparing. You really already have it in your notes. So we're really already going over something that you already have in your notes and know that's going to happen. I worked with John, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, and I can't even remember what happened, but he was just like, yeah, we just want this to be perfect. And it's from his heart. That's who I want to be working with. I want to work with people that care as much as I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I love that. A work ethic. A smooth wedding day starts with all the preparation is done, all the planning has been done. Everyone's ready to enjoy the day because we know all the hard work has already been done. The best weddings happen when all the vendors are on the same page and it goes fantastic. A great vendor team makes for a memorable day. Couples should care about entertainment because it really matters. It's the heart of the wedding. Music is everything. Guest experience matters because you are having a party for your friends and family, and you want them to have the best time on your perfect day. I'm Carol Johnson, and I would love to help you with your wedding in the future. Love this business. Can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing. I am so detail oriented that I find it so fun to work with brides and grooms. My big thing is to eliminate as much stress from you guys. I like to have a stress-free wedding. I always say simple is better, but we will get all the details done and you are to relax on your day and just enjoy it. And let me be the one that's handling everything behind the scenes and working with all your vendors and just making it a great day.